Prologue. The Vanishing Sound. In the quiet town of Willow Creek, nestled deep within the forests of Oregon, something was stealing the sound. First, it was the birds. Then the wind. Then, even the whispers of people's breath were gone. The air wasn't still, it was suffocatingly silent. By the time anyone noticed, it was already too late. Chapter 1. The Return. Ella Montgomery hadn't been back to Willow Creek in almost 15 years. But when her grandmother passed, leaving her the old family cabin, she had no choice. The drive into town was strange, no music played on the radio, and her phone hadn't had a signal in miles. The woods around the town felt denser, darker than she remembered. She pulled into the driveway just before sunset. The air was heavy, no bird song, no breeze, just the unnatural, aching quiet. The cabin was exactly as she remembered, moss-covered shingles, wind chimes that didn't chime anymore, and a porch that creaked like it was breathing. Ella stepped out and said aloud, "Home sweet home." No echo, no response, just silence.
Chapter 2. The Locals Don't Speak. Ella decided to visit the town center the next morning. She needed groceries and answers. She walked into Thomas's Market, the town's only store. The bell above the door didn't ring. Thomas, the owner, stood behind the counter. He didn't speak, just stared, then handed her a notepad. Greater than, "Don't speak here. Not safe," it read. "It listens." Ella scribbled back, "Greater than, what listens?" Thomas didn't respond, just pointed to a map on the wall, a red X, over the woods west of town. "Greater than, stay away from the creek," he wrote. But of course, that's exactly where Ella's cabin was. Chapter 3. Something in the walls. That night, Ella couldn't sleep. The silence wasn't peaceful, it was aggressive, like something was suppressing sound itself. Then she heard it, not a sound, but the absence of one. A void that moved, like a black hole sucking up noise. She pressed her ear to the wall and felt vibrations. Something was behind the wood. She grabbed a flashlight and hammer and began peeling back the boards in her grandmother's bedroom. Behind them, a sealed-off crawlspace. Inside, a box of old cassette tapes and a journal marked "Greater than, 1973, do not play. Do not listen." Chapter 4. The Lost Tapes. Despite the warning, Ella couldn't resist. She dug out an old tape player from the basement, wiped the dust from one of the cassettes, and hit play. There was no music, no voice, but slowly, a sound began, a low, guttural hum, like dozens of voices speaking in reverse, overlapping each other. Ella's ears began to ring. Then her nose bled. She shut it off. Outside, all the lights on the street flickered, even though it was still daylight. And in the woods, she saw something watching, tall, thin, faceless. Its body shimmered like heat on pavement. It turned and walked toward the creek. Ella locked all the doors. Chapter 5. Grandmother's Journal. The journal from 1973 was filled with frantic entries. Greater than, they told me to listen, and now I can't unhear them. Greater than, it comes when there is noise. When we speak, when we cry, when we sing. Greater than, the silencer was born in the water, a creature that drowns the world in hush. The final page simply read, "Greater than, I sealed it behind the walls. But it's getting louder." Ella's hands trembled. That hum, it had returned. But now, it was inside the house. Chapter 6. The Thing in the Mirror. The next day, Ella didn't go into town. She didn't speak. She didn't even breathe loud. She stared into the bathroom mirror, unsure if she was losing her mind, until her reflection smiled back. She didn't. The mirror. Ella began to whisper, but no sound came. Then, the mirror cracked, spiderweb fracture spreading across her face. Ella ran. She didn't stop until she reached the library. Chapter 7. History Repeating. Willow Creek's library was half abandoned. Dust layered every shelf. In the archives, she found a microfilm reel labeled "Town Disappearances 1952-1975. The old reel player clicked and spun. Photos of families with red X's drawn over them. One headline read, "Greater than, 15 families vanish without a trace. Only clue, burned out cassette tapes." Another, "Greater than, local pastor claims, God took their voices after sinful revival hymns." But the final image froze her blood. A group photo in front of the church. her grandmother among them, and behind them, blurred in the trees, the same faceless shape she saw near the creek. Chapter 8. The Ritual of Silence. In the town's old church, she found more cassette tapes, marked with chalk runes, wrapped in barbed wire, and a book bound in faded human skin. It spoke of a ritual of silence, performed by early settlers to bind an ancient being, the silencer, an entity from beneath the earth that feeds on sound. It was awoken once every 50 years by human voices, and it needed to be rebound, or it would consume everything. Ella flipped to the last page. Greater than, the only way to silence the silencer, is to make it hear its own voice. Chapter 9. The Voice Trap. She took one tape. She played the hum back into a loop machine and filtered it through reverb. Then she set up the old radio her grandmother kept, plugged into a backup generator, and placed it at the center of the cabin. At midnight, she hit play. The sound twisted the air. Windows shattered. The trees bent inward, as if bowing. And then, the silencer came. Its body was made of void. A walking vacuum. It floated inches above the floor, absorbing everything. Ella stood firm, holding a second cassette in her hand. This one had her voice. Greater than, I know who you are, she said on the recording. And I'm not afraid. Chapter 10. The Battle of Sound. The silencer froze. For the first time, it heard itself, echoed through Ella's loop. It convulsed, thrashing in sound waves. Ella turned up the volume, added the reversed chants, layered them over its hum. The thing shrieked, a high-pitched, ripping screech that tore through the wood, the walls, even the trees outside. But the silence didn't return. Sound was fighting back. Birds screamed, wind howled, the earth trembled, and then, in a final implosion, the silencer folded into itself, vanishing in a flash of black light. Ella collapsed, unconscious. Epilogue. A whisper returns. 3 days later, Ella awoke in the hospital. The doctors said she'd been found by a hiker, wandering along the edge of Willow Creek. She asked about the town. The nurse frowned. Greater than, what town? Ella's heart dropped. She pulled out her phone. The map showed nothing, just forest. No Willow Creek, no store, no Thomas. But in her coat pocket, a cassette tape. She put it in her rental car's player. Silence. Then a whisper. Greater than, you didn't kill it. You gave it a voice. Drop of blood, the end.